Music Production.
Yo, I want to go over a bunch of random stocks here. We'll start off with Air Canada. So what I'm looking for in Air Canada is this zone over here. I wonder if we're going to come back into this range. And there also is a gap below, so I want to see potentially we could come back, right? Just to fill this gap, which I think would be a great area to buy if this comes back around to $16. It left a gap behind back in 2020 and we haven't filled it since. And this is on the weekly time frame here. So for the most part, this is our demand zone, right? And it looks like we're coming to it right now. We want to see us either hold this range, but if we break below, we'll be looking to fill that gap or to potentially come back here as well. So there's a few levels, right, that we're paying attention to. It's around $19, right? We want to hold 19. If we can't, then the areas we'll be looking for is $14.50 to $16. If it comes back into that range, I think it'll be a decent spot to be going long, especially because, you know, now that COVID is starting to die off, I'm starting to hear way less talk about COVID. We could start seeing these travel names start to pop up again. So I don't want to sleep on it. There's also this major trend line it's been holding us back, and it's clear because we have 4 touches, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Once we get a breakout of this trend line, what we want to see, we don't know when it's going to come, but when it does come, we want to see us break up over it and then back test it, and then we go. So that's something I'm going to be looking for in Air Canada. Now, this name, low key, man, I'm mad bullish on this name, honestly, especially around these levels. It's been getting bodied. This is a great long-term play in my opinion. Shopify down 70%. With what's going on in the world right now and all these things, right? It's at a major zone right here with this trend line 1, 2. This could be the area where we start to get that bounce. But what I think about Spotify is that there's no reason for this name not to get a ridiculously nice bounce and like over the next few years come right back up into this range. The company overall is killing it, right? Look at how many times they've missed earnings. Very few. They're a great company. They're like, in my opinion, similar to Amazon, right? But right now we're seeing a massive sell-off. This is starting to get pretty fearful. If we get that major, like that huge candle where we absolutely sell off into these ranges down here, I think it'll be a huge buy opportunity, especially for a long-term hold. So that's something I will be looking for. If we do come back into this range, I don't think we will, man. That's not even... This reminds me of Tesla, right? The 420 range. If it comes back to the 420 range like Tesla did right before the COVID crash, I'm smashing buy on Shopify and I'm going long because the opportunity here, it's really hard to not go long on a name like this. The company's great fundamentals. The chart looks scary right now, which is another reason why like you want to buy, right? When others are fearful is when you want to buy. And it's starting to look like real fearful. I can't speak, but it's looking scary when it comes to Shopify. So the opportunity definitely looks like it's coming. Costco. Now this name, you can't stop Costco, eh? Just huge uptrends. I am starting to see potential trend change here though. We marked this high here. We come back here. Now are we going to create this lower high now and potentially come back further? That's something we want to look for. Or we could potentially, right, just be getting tighter and tighter in this range and create some sort of like a triangle or something like that, because there's also the potential for that in this stock. So something like that I'd be looking for if we hold this lower trend line, if we come back to it. If not, that ABC correction is for sure in play. So we got that A, B, and then C somewhere, maybe back down to this point because we've had some confluence in this area. So that's what I'm looking for in Costco. Overall, beast name. We're always going to need produce. We're always going to, it's never going to go away. Let's be real. Costco ain't going away anytime soon. Great opportunity for a long-term name. They also pay dividends as well. So, man, this is a great stock. DraftKings. Now, this one, come on, like DraftKings bodied We had that period of time in 2020, right? All these other stocks are lifting up. SPACs were popping off. People were creating trading accounts or trading video accounts because, you make money off SPACs, but then the reaction off these SPACs is so drastic, man. Like here's a 45% pullback, and then we have another 45% pullback, and right now this past few months we have a 75% pullback. I'm leaning towards this area being a nice buying opportunity, and that's between $13 and $15 on DraftKings. The only reason why I say that is because we're starting to come back to where the IPO was at, which means this should act as a demand zone. So we want to see us potentially come back into this zone and then start to see some reversal candlestick patterns on the weekly time frame. That would indicate, that we might start get at least a nice bounce out of this range. But overall, I'm going to bring up a quick little chart that I think is very useful to just, continue looking at, just to remind us, like stocks move this way. So don't be surprised, right? This is how stocks move, right? Pay attention to this little like diagram here, this chart. It kind of is a pretty good indicator of like, like how to gauge fear in the markets, right? So I like to look at this here and there, and then I'll look at a chart and I start to think and imagine like, okay, how, and try to visualize it, like where could this potentially be on that chart right now? And it could be in the period of time where we get to despair and then things curl up because people are like, there's no way it's going to go higher. And right around then is when the stocks usually do. So I want to see what happens over this summer. You know what I mean? Spring and summer, what happens with DraftKings? Do we base? If so, that's a great opportunity to go long. GME, hilarious. Do you guys remember GameStop? Yo. Oh man, I knew people buying up here. 350 range. Crazy. But this is a great example, right? Here's a resistance point. Look at this massive wick left behind. And then when we come back into this range, we wick. So this is clear resistance. And then this support range, we held this for a few months, right? March until December 2021. We've had a bunch of bounces. 1, 2, 3, right? We tried to bounce over here, but once we break below this demand zone, which it was before for that period of time from March to December, we break below it and now it's acting as a supply zone. Or you could think of it, this was support and now it's acting as resistance. And now look, we're probably going to come back down here. I would not be surprised at all. So man, these names, right? There's really no fundamentals behind it. There's no backing behind this name. What you get is a massive short squeeze, and people pile in because they don't want to, it's FOMO. They don't want to miss out on that opportunity, right? Like this was a name that rose dumb high at the beginning of 2021. I won't ever forget that. That was, what a time to be alive, honestly. Like, look at these two candles. That is insanity. Nike. I think this will be the last one for this video, but Nike, man, this is another one. Like it's never going to go away, and we're having a major sell-off, almost as large as COVID. So this brings us back 33%. COVID was 40%, sorry. Right? We had a 40% pullback for COVID. So I'm looking at this range. Are we going to come back to pre-COVID levels? If so, that's a buy opportunity in this name, right? Are we really going to come back to around $100 here? Because if so, I feel like that's an easy buying opportunity. Think about all the money that's been printed, man, right? Like inflation, these assets are going to inflate too. It's just a matter of time because with the things that are going on in the world right now, the markets are officially in a bear market because it's been, I guess, 2 quarters of straight bearish action. No higher monthly closes over 2 months. Or sorry, 2 quarters. So the opportunity, I think, is now is when we want to start looking, okay, are we going to go long on some of these names, right? Because, and when I say long, I mean like, can we hold these stocks for longer than a year, longer than 2 years? Because I don't think you're going to find, man, if you just look back at any chart, when do you see, right? How often do these big dips come in all these names? Not very often. especially a Shopify. Like that one. Like guys, this one is like we should have all eyes on Shopify, big time. The last time it's never made a pullback like this. The opportunity for this name is crazy. It was once 2,200 a share and now it's at 650. Don't sleep on this video. This one's a sleeper video. 2022 sleeper video. Peace, guys.